Back in the 1950s, America was building trucks so beautiful that 7 decades later, collectors are paying 6 figures just to park one in their garage. These weren't just workhorses, they were rolling works of art, wrapped in chrome, two-tone paint, and curves that modern trucks can only dream about. From military legends reborn as civilian icons to the world's first luxury pickup, these 10 trucks from the 50s still turn more heads than anything on the road today. Number 10. The 1950 Ford F1. Let's kick things off with the truck that started one of the greatest dynasties in automotive history. The 1950 Ford F1 was the final year of the very first generation of Ford's F-Series trucks, a lineage that would go on to become the best-selling vehicle in America for decades to come. Ford originally launched the F-Series in 1948, branding them as Ford bonus-built trucks. That first generation ran from 1948 to 1952, and the half-ton pickup was simply called the F1. There was no F100 yet, no F150, just the F1, and it was designed from the ground up to be different from anything Ford had built before the war. The 1950 model came equipped with Ford's famous flathead V8 engine, a 239 cubic inch unit that was smooth, reliable, and beloved by mechanics and owners alike. It also offered a 226 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder for buyers who wanted something more economical. The flathead V8 produced around 100 horsepower, which doesn't sound like much today, but for a truck in 1950 it was more than enough to get serious work done. What makes the F1 so visually stunning, even today, is its rounded, almost friendly design. The cab features a tall, upright windshield, flowing front fenders that curve gracefully over the wheels, and a wide chrome grille with horizontal bars that gives it a proud, distinguished face. The proportions are perfect, not too big, not too small, and that's exactly why you'll see restored F1 trucks at every major car show in the country. The bed was a simple, honest steel affair with a wooden floor, and the whole truck had a no-nonsense presence that still commands respect. The cab interior was Spartan by today's standards, with a painted metal dashboard, a basic instrument cluster, and a bench seat that could hold 2 passengers plus the driver. But there was a craftsmanship to the way everything fit together that you simply don't find in modern mass-produced vehicles. What's remarkable is how well the F1's design has aged. Park one next to a brand new F-150, and the old truck will draw a bigger crowd every single time. Restored examples regularly sell for anywhere between $30,000 and $70,000 depending on condition, and the best show-quality trucks can fetch well over $100,000. If you want to understand why Ford trucks became legendary, this is where it all started. Number 9. The 1950 Chevrolet 3100 Advanced Design. While Ford had the F1, Chevrolet had its own masterpiece, the 3100 series, part of the Advanced Design lineup that ran from 1947 to 1955. The 1950 Chevrolet 3100 is widely considered one of the most beautiful pickup trucks ever designed, and it's easy to see why. Chevrolet introduced the Advanced Design trucks in 1947, and they were a massive leap forward from the wartime era AK series they replaced. The 3100 was the half-ton model, and it featured streamlined styling with increased glass area that made these trucks more appealing to a broader audience than ever before. Chevrolet was among the first to recognize that trucks didn't have to look purely utilitarian. They could look good too. Under the hood, the 1950 model came with Chevrolet's proven 216.5 cubic inch Thriftmaster inline 6-cylinder engine, producing around 90 horsepower. A 3-speed manual transmission was standard. It wasn't a powerhouse, but it was incredibly dependable, and many of these engines ran for hundreds of thousands of miles without major issues. The design language is what truly sets the 3100 apart. That distinctive split windshield, the rounded cab corners, the Art Deco-influenced grille with its 5 horizontal chrome bars, and the flowing fender lines create a silhouette that is unmistakably 1950s Americana. The proportions between the cab and the step-side bed are perfectly balanced, creating a profile that photographers and artists have been obsessing over for decades. Chevrolet sold enormous numbers of these trucks, which means there are still plenty of survivors out there being lovingly restored. The Advanced Design series was such a commercial success that Chevrolet held a dominant market share of well over 30% in domestic truck sales throughout this period. These trucks were everywhere, on farms, at construction sites, delivering goods to corner stores, and parked in suburban driveways across the country. Whether in bond-fine patina or a glass-smooth show finish, the 1950 Chevy 3100 is a design that simply does not age. It captures the optimism and prosperity of post-war America in sheet metal and chrome, and that's a quality that resonates just as strongly today as it did 75 years ago. Number 8. The Dodge Power Wagon. If there is one truck on this list that earns the word legendary without a single ounce of exaggeration, it's the Dodge Power Wagon. Originally introduced in 1946, the Power Wagon holds the distinction of being the very first four-wheel drive pickup truck sold to civilians in the United States. It was born directly from the Dodge WC series military trucks that served during World War II, and Dodge saw an opportunity to bring that wartime toughness to the American public. By the 1950s, the Power Wagon had settled into its role as the ultimate go-anywhere, do-anything truck. It was powered by a 230 cubic inch flathead inline six-cylinder engine. In the early 1950s, this engine produced around 94 horsepower, but through a series of upgrades throughout the decade, that figure climbed to 113 horsepower by 1957. The Power Wagon was equipped for gross vehicle weight ratings of 7,600 or 8,700 pounds, depending on the spring and tire package. Standard tire size was 7.50 by 16/8 ply, with 9.00 by 16 available as an option. This was a truck that was built to handle serious abuse in the worst conditions imaginable. But here's the thing about the Power Wagon. It doesn't just look tough, it looks genuinely cool. That flat utilitarian hood, the upright cab, the military-style proportions, and the rugged simplicity of the entire design give it an aesthetic that modern off-road trucks spend millions trying to replicate. It's honest, unadorned, and timeless. Over 95,000 Power Wagons were produced during the truck's production span, with the best year being 1957, when 8,706 units were sold. Dodge even listed 75 types of businesses in their 1946 sales manual that could benefit from the Power Wagon, ranging from airports to well drillers. Today, restored Power Wagons are among the most coveted classic trucks in the world, and their militaristic good looks are a huge part of that appeal. Number 7. The 1953 Ford F-100. In 1953, Ford celebrated its 50th anniversary, and to mark the occasion, it launched a completely redesigned generation of F-Series trucks. The half-ton model was renamed from F1 to F-100, a name that would stick for the next 3 decades. This wasn't just a name change, it was a total transformation. The 1953 F-100 featured a sleeker, more modern design with an all-new cab and front end. The windshield was 55% larger than the outgoing F1, thanks to a curved one-piece design that replaced the old flat two-piece windshield. The cab was wider, now able to comfortably seat 3 full-size adults. The gas tank was relocated from behind the seat to the outside of the frame below the driver's side of the cab, freeing up interior space. The 1953 model was also the last year Ford trucks used the flathead V8 engine. For 1954, Ford introduced the overhead valve Y-block V8, which was a significant engineering leap. But the 1953, with its combination of new body and classic flathead power, occupies a special spot in Ford truck history. It's the bridge between the old world and the new. Early F-100s are sometimes affectionately called Effies by Ford enthusiasts, and they earned that nickname by being dependable, good-looking, and remarkably versatile. Ford marketed these trucks on a platform of economy and toughness, and they delivered on both counts. The design influence of the 1953 F-100 cannot be overstated. It set the template for what a modern pickup truck should look like. Lower, wider, more car-like, and more refined. This was the truck that convinced America that a pickup could be more than a farm tool. Number 6. The 1955 Chevrolet Cameo Carrier. Now we get to a truck that genuinely changed the game. The 1955 Chevrolet Cameo Carrier was by many accounts the first luxury pickup truck ever made. It was the brainchild of Chuck Jordan, who would later become the head of GM's entire design department and it was unlike anything the truck world had ever seen. The Cameo Carrier was part of Chevrolet's new Task Force truck series for 1955, but it stood miles apart from the standard models. Its most revolutionary feature was the use of fiberglass outer panels on the bed, which created a smooth, slab-sided appearance that was flush with the cab, a look we take for granted today. But in 1955, every other pickup truck on the market had step-side beds with exposed rear fenders. Under the hood, buyers could choose the 235 cubic inch Thriftmaster Straight 6 producing 123 horsepower, or the groundbreaking 265 cubic inch small block V8, the very same engine that was setting the car world on fire in the 1955 Chevrolet Bel Air. The V8 was rated at 145 horsepower and could be paired with a 4-speed Hydromatic automatic transmission. The styling details were borrowed directly from Chevrolet's passenger cars. The hubcaps came from the 1955 Bel Air, and chrome taillights were taken from the recently discontinued 1954 Bel Air. The truck featured a wraparound windshield, hooded headlamps, and an egg crate grille with a wraparound bumper. Inside, the Cameo Carrier came with carpeting, a feature almost unheard of in the bare-bones trucks of the day. Two-tone upholstery, a radio, and a color-keyed steering wheel. Every 1955 Cameo was painted Bombay ivory with the rear cab pillars and bed interior finished in commercial red. The option package added nearly $500 to the $1,400 base price of a standard Chevrolet 1500 pickup, which was a significant premium at the time. Only about 5,220 Cameo Carriers were sold in the first year, and total production across all years from 1955 to 1958 was approximately 10,000 units. That rarity, combined with the stunning design, makes the Cameo Carrier one of the most desirable classic trucks in existence. It paved the way for every luxury truck that followed, from the modern Silverado High Country to the Ford King Ranch. Number 5. The 1956 Ford F-100. If there's one specific year of F-100 that collectors go absolutely crazy for, it's the 1956. This model was a one-year-only body style that is the easiest to identify at a glance among the second-generation F-Series trucks, and that exclusivity drives its desirability through the roof. The key distinguishing feature of the 1956 F-100 was the addition of vertical windshield pillars, which gave the cab a distinctly different look from the 1953 through 1955 models. It was a subtle change, but it gave the truck a more upright, more confident stance that enthusiasts find incredibly appealing. Under the hood, the 1956 model benefited from the Y-block V8 engine that had debuted in 1954. By this point, displacement had grown to 272 cubic inches, and the engine was producing around 167 horsepower. This was a meaningful improvement over the old flathead, and it gave the 1956 F-100 a level of performance that matched its good looks. Ford continued to market the F-100 as an economical, practical truck, but there was no denying that these trucks had serious style. The wraparound windshield, the clean body lines, the simple but elegant chrome trim, and the overall proportions make the 1956 F-100 a timeless design that looks just as striking sitting next to a brand new truck as it does parked alongside other classics. Many enthusiasts consider the 1956 F-100 to be the single most beautiful Ford truck ever built. And when you see a well-restored example in person, it's very hard to argue with that assessment. Number 4. The 1955 GMC 100 Blue Chip Series. In the 1950s, GMC trucks were not just rebadged Chevrolets. They were genuinely different machines with their own identity. And the 1955 GMC 100 is a perfect example. While Chevrolet was dominating headlines with the Cameo Carrier, GMC was quietly building trucks that many enthusiasts argue were actually better engineered. The GMC trucks of the 50s had bespoke powertrains that were either developed within the GMC brand or sourced from Pontiac, giving them a performance character that was distinct from their Chevrolet siblings. The Blue Chip series, introduced in 1955, featured styling that was similar in proportion to the Chevrolet Task Force trucks but had unique grille designs, trim details, and badging that set them apart. GMC even had its own equivalent of the Cameo Carrier, badged as the GMC Suburban Pickup, which featured the same flush-sided bed concept using fiberglass panels. And in a move that demonstrated real innovation, GMC pioneered the factory availability of four-wheel drive late in the 1956 model year, using components developed by Napco Industries. Chevrolet buyers who wanted a similar four-wheel drive option would have to wait about another 6 months. The visual appeal of the 1955 GMC 100 comes from its robust, no-nonsense styling. The distinctive GMC grille, often wider and more aggressive-looking than its Chevrolet counterpart, gives these trucks a presence that commands attention. Combined with the two-tone paint options and generous chrome accents that were popular across the industry, a restored GMC 100 is a showstopper at any gathering. These trucks tend to be rarer than their Chevrolet equivalents, which makes them even more special to collectors. If you want a 1950s truck that stands out from the crowd of Fords and Chevys, a GMC Blue Chip is the way to go. Number 3. The 1957 Studebaker Transstar. Here's a truck that most people have never heard of. And that's a shame, because the 1957 Studebaker Transstar is one of the most visually striking pickups of the entire 1950s. While Ford and Chevrolet were dominating the truck market, Studebaker was quietly building trucks in South Bend, Indiana, that had a style all their own. Studebaker had been building trucks since the late 1920s, starting with the GN series. By the 1950s, they were producing the E-series trucks, and the Transstar name was applied to the premium trim levels starting in 1956. The basic architecture of the Studebaker trucks dated back to the 1949 redesign. But for 1957, the trucks received an aggressive new fiberglass grille that successfully modernized the entire look and boosted sales. The Transstar was available with a range of engines, including inline 6 cylinders of 185 and 246 cubic inches, as well as V8 options, including a 224, 259, and even a 289 cubic inch overhead valve V8 that gave it real performance credentials. With an overdrive transmission, these trucks were genuinely comfortable highway cruisers. What makes the Transstar special from a design standpoint is that it looks like nothing else on the road. Studebaker was known for quirky, forward-thinking designs in their cars. Think of the Avanti or the Golden Hawk, and that same creative spirit carried over to their trucks. The Transstar's proportions, its distinctive grille, and the period-correct two-tone color combinations like Glenbrook green with a seaside green grille make these trucks absolutely mesmerizing. Production numbers were always modest compared to the Big Three, which makes surviving examples extremely rare. These trucks weren't a common sight when they were still in production, and they're even harder to find today. A good example of a 1957 Transstar in presentable condition can sell for around $30,000 to $40,000, which is actually a bargain compared to what comparable Fords and Chevys command. Studebaker was in serious financial trouble during this entire period and invested very little to update its truck division, which means the Transstar represents a company punching well above its weight in the design department. The fact that they managed to create something this visually compelling with such limited resources makes it all the more impressive. If you spot a Transstar at a truck show, you're looking at something truly special, a truck that dared to be different in an era dominated by Ford and Chevrolet. Number 2. The 1957 Chevrolet 3100 Task Force Apache. The late 1950s were golden years for Chevrolet trucks, and the 1957 Chevrolet 3100, part of the Task Force series, represents the absolute peak of 1950s truck design. By 1958, Chevrolet would adopt dual headlight styling and give its half-ton trucks the famous Apache name. But the 1957 model is the last of the single headlight trucks, and many collectors consider it the most beautiful of the entire Task Force era. The second generation of Chevrolet trucks was produced from 1955 through 1959, and they were a dramatic departure from the advanced design trucks that came before. The 1955 models introduced several groundbreaking features, including a wraparound windshield and a one-piece rear window. By 1957, the trucks had been refined with an updated grille, revised front bumper treatment, and an overall level of polish that was hard to beat. Under the hood, the 1957 models could be equipped with the legendary small block V8, now displacing 265 cubic inches and producing 155 gross horsepower. This was a serious engine that gave the truck performance to match its looks. The combination of that small block rumble with the classic lines of the Task Force body is automotive perfection. The 1957 model also offered the Cameo Carrier variant with color insert panels on the sides of the bed, making it easy to distinguish from earlier years. But even in standard step-side form, the 1957 Chevrolet 3100 is a design masterpiece. The chrome accents, the balanced proportions, the stance, everything works together in perfect harmony. When the fleet-side pickups arrived halfway through 1958, the era of the step-side Chevrolet as the default truck was effectively over. That makes the 1957 model the end of an era, and there's always something special about the final chapter of a great story. The Task Force trucks collectively are among the most popular classic trucks for restoration projects today. A massive aftermarket industry has sprung up around these trucks, making it relatively easy to find reproduction parts for everything from fenders and grills to complete interiors. That accessibility combined with the timeless design means the 1957 Chevrolet 3100 will continue to be a fixture at car shows and cruise nights for generations to come. Number 1. The 1954 Dodge C1. Job rated. Taking the number 1 spot is a truck that often gets overlooked in favor of the Ford and Chevy rivalry, and that's exactly why it deserves to be here. The 1954 Dodge C1, part of Dodge's job-rated truck series, is arguably the coolest-looking truck of the entire 1950s decade. Dodge introduced its job-rated concept in the late 1940s, marketing the idea that every Dodge truck was purpose-built and rated for the specific job it was designed to do. So C-Series trucks, which arrived in 1954, represented a major redesign with a lower, wider body, a one-piece windshield, and styling that was modern, clean, and instantly recognizable. The front end of the C1 is what truly sets it apart. That massive chrome-heavy grille with its distinctive horizontal bars and prominent Dodge lettering across the hood creates a face that is both imposing and beautiful. The rounded fenders, the chrome bumper, and the overall proportions give the truck a stance that looks purposeful and stylish at the same time. Under the hood, the C1 was powered by Dodge's reliable 218 cubic inch flathead inline 6-cylinder engine, producing around 100 horsepower. While the power figures were modest, the engine was famously durable and easy to work on, which made it a favorite among farmers, tradesmen, and small business owners. What makes the Dodge C1 truly special among collectors today is the combination of its stunning design and its relative rarity compared to the ocean of Ford and Chevrolet trucks from the same era. A well-restored C1 in a period-correct color combination is a head-turner of the highest order. The kind of truck that stops traffic at car shows and makes grown men ask for permission to take a photo. The Dodge job-rated trucks represent a design philosophy that prioritized both form and function, and the C1 is the finest expression of that philosophy. It's a truck that proves you didn't need to be a Ford or a Chevy to be absolutely, undeniably gorgeous. The C-Series trucks also offered practical innovations that were ahead of their time. The cab was designed for greater comfort on long hauls, with better visibility and improved ergonomics compared to previous Dodge trucks. The job-rated branding wasn't just marketing. Every component of the truck, from the engine to the axles to the frame, was matched to the intended workload, ensuring that buyers got exactly the right truck for their needs. This combination of thoughtful engineering and knockout styling is what makes the 1954 Dodge C1 our number 1 pick on this list. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling us which 1950s truck is your personal favorite. Do you prefer the rugged simplicity of the Power Wagon or the refined elegance of the Cameo Carrier? Let us know. Until next time, keep those engines running and those classics rolling.